Donald Trump was interviewed by Laura Ingraham last night on Fox News. This was supposed to be an easy interview, but as we know, even easy interviews are difficult for Donald Trump. At one point, he clashed with her where she said, "Is a 50-year mortgage really a good idea?" It's not, and we're going to delve into that a little bit later. But there are some themes in these interviews. Trump is asked easy questions, but he still screws them up. Trump talks about people being low IQ, and they're almost always black or brown women. And that's kind of where we start. Trump saying, Jasmine Crockett, very low IQ, very low IQ.
This Crockett, this is a very low IQ person. And I look at somebody that comes from Somalia, where they don't have anything. They don't have police, they don't have military, they don't have anything. All they have is crime. And she comes in and tells us how to run our country. The Constitution says this, the Constitution. The whole thing is crazy.
You know, you don't have to agree with everything Ilhan Omar says to understand that even foreigners can read and understand the Constitution and can evaluate whether Donald Trump's actions comport with the Constitution. But Trump has no idea what's going on anyway, right? Trump confronted by Laura Ingraham about the 50-year mortgage idea. And here, Trump acknowledges he doesn't even know what a standard mortgage is today. Going, well, you're going from a 40 to a 50-year mortgage. No. Most long-term fixed-rate mortgages are 30 years. He has no idea what's going on because he's never needed a consumer mortgage.
Housing costs are still out of reach. And another thing that your administration is trying to tackle, many Americans, the average age of first-time home buyers are now up to age 40, which is sad. The country you and I grew up in.
I inherited that. Look, you have to understand.
Right, but let me get to the question, though, because your housing director has proposed something that has enraged your MAGA friends, which is this 50-year mortgage idea. So a significant MAGA backlash, calling it a giveaway to the banks and simply prolonging the time it would take for Americans to own a home outright. Is that really a good idea?
It's not even a big deal. I mean, you know, you go from 40 to 50 years. And what it means is you pay something less from 30 to...
Notice how Laura Ingraham tries to correct, and Trump doesn't even care.
Some people had a 40, and then now they have a 50. All it means is you pay less per month. You pay it over a longer period of time. It's not like a big factor.
It is. Trump is so wrong. Trump goes, no, you just pay it off over a longer period of time. If we're going to delve into this later, if you have even the most rudimentary understanding of a mortgage amortization table, you would understand that going from a 30 to a 50-year mortgage doesn't just make your payment a little bit lower. It blows up the amount of interest you pay, and it actually drives up housing prices. I'm going to explain why a little bit later, but essentially, a lot of people shop for homes based on the mortgage payment. They go, I can afford $1,200 a month. If you all of a sudden are amortizing over 50 years instead of 30, you can now afford, at least in your head, a much more expensive property. This increases competition for properties and drives prices up. But what's a little math to get in the way of another one of these Trumpian delusions? Trump insists, when Laura Ingraham brings up the issue of prices, that everything's cheap, everything's down. Why are people complaining?
The economy was listed as a top concern. I know you know this, for voters in New Jersey, New York, Virginia. I know you've been all over the affordability issue today and for the last several months. Eggs, gas, dinner costs for Thanksgiving way down. But other things, as you noted, have gone up. Beef, coffee, auto repairs. Is this a voter perception issue of the economy, or is there more that needs to be done by Republicans on Capitol Hill or done in terms of policy?
More than anything else, it's a con job by the Democrats. They're saying, they just have to say, you know, they put out something, say today costs are up. They feed it to the anchors of ABC, CBS, and NBC, and a lot of other, and, you know, CNN, and et cetera. And it's like a standard. I'll never forget, they had used a word like manufactured. Do you remember the word manufactured? It's a manufactured economy. Nobody uses that word. Every anchor broke the manufactured.
He has no idea what he's saying.
Do exactly what they say. It's such a rigged system. So are you ready? Costs are way down. Gasoline is going to be hitting $2 pretty soon, or around $2. Gasoline is at $2.70 now, and it was at $4.50 under Biden.
Now, of course, when Trump took over, gas was about 305 a gallon, and right now gas is about 305 a gallon. But Trump is again saying, don't believe the price tags, don't believe your checkbook, don't believe your credit card statement, believe me. But we have the data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics showing that food is up, energy is up, and everything other than food and energy are also up. Everything is up about 3% in the last year. Now, that is a reasonable amount of inflation, but Trump promised deflation. Trump promised prices would go down, not that they would keep going up at about the same rate as they were going up under Biden. Trump insisting, oh, the economy is better than ever. And Laura Ingraham goes, then why are people so anxious about the economy? And Trump's like, oh, everything's fake.
But even with interest rates up, the economy is the strongest it's ever been. You know, you asked me, just to go back to the beginning of your question, you talked about prices. We're down on energy. We're down on interest rate. You know, interest rates are down despite the Fed. Now, if we had a normal person.
Now, of course, the Fed has reduced interest rates. So I don't know why Trump says despite the Fed. And energy is up, not down.
The Fed would have really low interest rates, and we will soon have that. We'll have somebody that's.
And why are people saying they're anxious about the economy? Why are they saying that?
I don't know that they are saying. I think polls are fake. We have the greatest economy we've ever had.
It's all fake. The polls are fake, Laura. This is not his, Laura Ingraham. People aren't falling for this. You know, one thing we learned from the Biden presidency is you can't tell people things are better than they feel that they are. If people feel things aren't good, people feel things aren't good, and they're going to presumably vote that way. Trump then floating an idea for Trump Care for health insurance. If these are the concepts of a plan that he has, oh boy.
On Obamacare, you raised several times during this shutdown debate that it's clear that this was never going to work without these massive subsidies. Now they wanted to continue the COVID subsidies. So given the fact that Obamacare really can't survive as they thought without these subsidies, what next?
Well, I watched Obama from when this thing came about. As you know, I opposed it very strongly. Unfortunately, we had a couple of negative votes, which should never have happened. But I said it's going to be a disaster, and I was exactly right. The premiums have gone up like rocket ships, and I'm not just talking about recently. I'm talking about for years they've been going up. And he said premiums will go down. Everything will be wonderful. It's horrible health insurance at a very high price. And what I want, and probably what you're alluding to, is the fact that I want, instead of going to the insurance companies, I want the money to go into an account for people where the people buy their own health insurance. It's so good. The insurance will be better. It'll cost less. Everybody's going to be happy. They're going to feel like entrepreneurs. They're actually able to go out and negotiate their own health insurance. And they can use it only for that reason. That's the beauty, only for that purpose. And if we did that, that would be so exciting. Call it Trump Care, call it whatever you want to call it, but anything but Obamacare. Obamacare is a disaster, just like he was as a president.
You know, he kind of gives away the game here. Call it Trump Care. This is all about feeding Trump's ego. Remember when Donald Trump told us, I've come up with an incredible trade deal. It's called USMCA, United States, Mexico, Canada trade deal. It's replacing NAFTA. It was basically NAFTA. There were some different percentages assigned to, like, for example, vehicles where some of the parts are manufactured across Canada, Mexico, and the U.S. He basically just redid NAFTA, but said this is better and it's mine and it's USMCA. And he wants to clearly do the same thing here. He doesn't want something called Obamacare. He wants something called Trump Care. The problem is it doesn't really work because individuals can't negotiate health insurance prices. Insurance companies negotiate with hospitals and providers using giant risk pools. The government could also do it, but Republicans don't want to do that because they say it's a government takeover. A single person calling up Blue Cross to get a better deal has zero leverage, and Trump's idea doesn't make any sense. Finally, Trump has this idea of giving air traffic controllers who didn't take time off during the shutdown a bonus of $10,000. Laura Ingraham has the audacity to ask a quaint little question. Where's that money going to come from? And Trump goes, oh, I don't know. I'll find it somewhere.
Did say the ones that stayed, of which there were a lot of them, I'm sending them a $10,000 bonus.
Where's that money coming from?
I don't know. I'll get it from someplace. I always get the money from someplace regardless. It doesn't matter. I do a lot of bonuses for people because it's really something that.
There you go. I'll get it from someplace. So two thoughts on that. Imagine if Biden ever said, I'm going to spend some money. Where are you getting it? I don't know. I'll find it somewhere. Imagine if Obama ever did that. That's number one. But secondly, it is up to Congress to allocate and disperse funds, not to Trump. It is once again seemingly Trump's indifference for the fact that you're not just allowed to do that, but he doesn't care. If you were shopping for a new mattress, I would recommend you start by looking at Helix Sleep, the mattress I've been sleeping on for years, the only one that I recommend because they custom tailor it to your needs. I took their sleep quiz. It took a minute or two. I said, oh, I like to sleep on my stomach. I tend to feel hotter in the middle of the night rather than colder. I like medium firm. And Helix just nailed it, matched me with the perfect mattress. Most people don't even know where to start when you're looking for a mattress, and Helix just makes it easy. There is really no substitute for the mattress that's right for you. Your body will thank you. Delivery was fast, setup was easy. You do get 100 nights to try it out. They'll even take away your old mattress. Helix is giving my audience 25% off site-wide. Go to helixsleep.com/Pakman. The link is in the description.